Welcome back to Real Talk with Brian and Dan on 1150 AM KKNW. I'm Brian.
And I'm Dan.
Our next guest is Chris Morrison of Quantum Electric. Chris is the owner of Quantum Electric, a small electrical contracting company servicing the greater Seattle area and north. Today, Chris will be discussing with us his shockingly good service to light up your world. Thanks for being on the show today, Chris. Tell us about what you do when you're not out doing shockingly crazy things.
Well, I have two little ones at home, so they take up most of my time.
Yeah.
I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, a boy and a girl.
Yeah.
But when I can get away from them and the wife allows it, I go play golf a lot.
Okay. There you go.
We've had some golfers on the show. We can connect you up with them. Tis the season, right?
I golf all year round. We're from Seattle.
Yeah. Good for you. Right on. We also we go over this question with everybody, kind of go back in memory lane and tell us about the house you grew up in, a fond memory from that.
I grew up in Juanita, in a little rambler out there, and probably the biggest fondest memory I have deals electrical. Roughing housing with kids all the time, you break things. I broke a big light over the entryway, and Dad decided to turn off the power and tell me, well, now we're going to go change that light. You broke it, and now we're going to go change it.
There you go. A career was launched.
That's right.
That's awesome.
So where are you based out of?
I'm from Lake Stevens. My business partner's in Linwood, but we will travel from basically Bellingham to Kent. That's our good service area.
Nice.
All right. And give me an example of some of the places you've done jobs recently.
I was literally just in Bellingham the other day, and I was down in Puyallup the other day for a family friend. I will go down there, but it's got to be the right job.
Right job. And you have to show up at 6 a.m., right?
Maybe 8 o'clock on that one.
Maybe 8. Okay.
So what's the wrong job? I got a friend who called me. He's got an alarm on his septic tank that's shorting out. How does that work for you?
I might be hand in hand with the plumber on that one.
Okay.
I definitely do everything, bringing the power to it, hooking it up.
So you can troubleshoot it.
I can troubleshoot it, but going inside the tank, I might call the plumber for a friendly
septic
need.
guy.
Yeah.
I definitely would not.
That's what I told him too. But,
So what is the type of electrical work that you specialize? Is it residential or commercial?
We are set up for both. We do light commercial, but I am morely a residential specialist. Anything with the house, from generators, solar panels, car charging stations.
knob and tube.
Knob and tube is a big one, especially here in the older houses in Seattle.
So for our listeners, essentially knob and tube wiring is knobs with no tubes. Have you seen tubes?
Yeah.
Yeah?
They're both the knob and the tube are porcelain, and basically the tube is what goes through the wood, and the knob is what holds it to the stud.
Oh, okay.
But knob and tube is basically cloth wiring that is definitely outdated and can cause some pretty big fire hazards.
So that's some of the early in-house wiring, right?
Right. So I think I hear from other brokers sometimes the attitude that if the house is knob and tube, has to be rewired. What's your take on that?
I agree.
Okay.
Mostly because a lot of people, the damage has already been done over the years. The wire's been installed for 60, 70 years or something like that. So the damage has already been done. Most of the times it's unseen. Light bulbs like incandescents or halogens have been put into the sockets, and therefore it's been heating up the wire and inside your walls that most people don't even know about. Those are the kind of dangers with knob and tube is the heat that creates the wire to be brittle.
Gotcha. And especially it's been there for a long, long time.
Yeah. What's kind of the most common things you see?
Bad panels and knob and tube wiring.
Yeah.
We get a lot of updates, kitchen remodels, bath remodels, but the dangerous stuff is the bad panels and the knob and tube wiring.
So what about on the commercial side? What is the common work that you get called out for on the commercial side?
I get all the calls for the commercial. Typically, I like to take some of the smaller ones. Some of the bigger commercial projects are just a little too big for my company. We're a little smaller of a company. But some of the smaller commercial jobs are right up our alley. Little small tenant improvements, lighting upgrades, security systems, that kind of stuff.
So that's the stuff you like to tackle?
Yeah, I prefer houses, but I will tackle anything and everything.
Well, are there certain products that are dangerous to continue to run, electric-wise? Thank you.
To remember, Wesco panels?
Zinsco panels.
Zinsco, that's the one.
And Federal Pacific stab locks. Those are the two that
great.
if you see those two, a Zinsco or a Federal Pacific stab lock, you probably should give me a call and get those out sooner than later.
Why?
The panels don't trip. So the problem is, we've all overloaded the circuit and the breaker trips. That's what doing its job. Those panels, they don't trip. They just keep overloading and arcing and creating heat, and therefore creates a fire.
They don't have fuses in them?
They have fuses. The breaker itself is a fuse. It's a fuse breaker, but they just don't trip.
So what are they again?
Zinsco, and Federal Pacific Stab Lock.
And how do you determine it's that?
You can open the panel cover, and most of the time they'll see a name written on it. Sometimes you might have to do some Googling and get a part number, a model number. If you really can't see it, then give me a call. The other part is colored breakers. So some are orange, red, blue. Those are indication that it's an old panel and it probably needs to be changed.
Okay.
So how long have you been in business as Quantum Electric?
We've been in business since 2009.
Okay, so you've been around a while. That's great.
What are the size of jobs you like to tackle?
I like to tackle really anything. Anything in a house I like to tackle. It's usually a couple weeks in and out. Kitchen remodel, full rewires take a little bit of time, but we can bang out a bathroom or a kitchen really fast. Lighting upgrades, really anything.
What's the largest project you've completed?
The largest project we completed was a 40-unit apartment building in Bellevue.
Wow.
It was for a special customer that was building it at his own rate, so we were able to go in there and just wire it all up from the ground up. No job too big or too small.
From a customer service standpoint, we talked with Gina earlier, right, about being obsessed with customers. How does that show up in your business?
I'm very customer obsessed with my business. They really, make the world go around. So without them, I don't have a job.
Yeah,
so
they do pay the bill, right?
I try to make sure that their hopes and dreams are completed. That's a big thing for me, is meeting with the homeowner, going through their hopes and wants, because at the end of the project, it's about what they wanted.
Awesome. So tell us your worst horror story, something that just that scared you. You got electrocuted. I want to hear some of the good stuff. Come on, let's go.
I've been shocked a few times. I can't say I haven't.
Surprised or shocked? Which is it?
Oh, there's both. But the horror stories are always the fire damages. It's always when you take down a light fixture and someone had no idea that they had an incandescent or a halogen bulb in there for years. I take down a light fixture, usually to replace it, and come to find out they had some older cloth wiring that has been damaged, burned, and you see nothing but, inches or feet of just bare copper live. And that's the scary part.
Wow.
How about aluminum wiring?
Aluminum wiring, you get that changed.
Yeah.
Did you see much of it?
I do. We get about 1 or 2 calls a year. It's always the customer never knows they have it. It's always that, hey, I lost some lights in my house.
Yeah.
I come to test it out and check what's there, and sure enough, they have aluminum wiring.
We pick it up on inspection.
Yeah.
And it can be an issue.
But it's so conductive. So let's talk about your process. So when somebody calls Quantum Electric, when the phone rings, who answers?
I usually answer. I'm pretty much the face of the company. But you give me a call and I schedule you out for an estimate. It's all free. We're usually a small owner operator company, so I usually try to do them after work or on the weekends. I come out, I take a look at your house or your situation you have. If it's emergency, I can come out sooner. But we usually come out, take a look at it. I give you a free estimate. I'll email that to you. And then if you like what you see, just give me a call back and we schedule you up.
What do your best customers say about you?
My best customers say that I really paid attention to their detail. That's what I really strive for. I strive to make sure the customer's happy and the end result, it's beautiful. I want to make sure that these people live in their houses every day. They see the work that I do, and I try to make sure that it's beautiful, that they like what they got.
So a couple of weeks ago on one of our shows, we talked about house saving tips, right? Energy saving tips. And one of the things we talked about was putting LED lighting. And Chris did some work at my house, as many of the folks on our show have been at my house, because I had a big remodel, and put in LED lighting throughout the house. The coolest thing about the LED lighting he put in is it actually has a switch on it, so you can pick the color, right? Because if you go to different retailers, I won't mention any names, usually you're picking, I want the bright white ones or I want the yellow ones or whatever. This one has a switch on it. So I can actually set the lights in the dining room to a more yellow or to a more, depending on how I want it to look. So it was that extra bit of insight that he didn't have to tell me about it. He just bought me the other ones and said, here you go, this is what you get. But to have that, I think that's the part that comes through when you talk about having the customer's interest in mind, even when we don't know, right? Because there are so many things changing in the field of low voltage and LED lighting and all that stuff that I had no idea those things existed, and I appreciate you taking that into consideration.
Well, you're welcome. I really try to go the extra mile for the customers, and attention to detail is what I really strive for.
Awesome.
That's great.
So,
Chris,
what's your takeaway, Brian?
Takeaway is stay on top of these problems. They can be big ones. Get Chris out, free estimate.
Free estimate.
So, yeah.
That's right.
Awesome.
So, Chris, tell our listeners how they can get a hold of you.
The best way to get a hold of me is my phone number at 425-770-0709 or by my email, quantumelectricllc@gmail.com.
Chris,
Awesome.
thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you.
Remember that this and other segments for our show are available to watch at our YouTube channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Eastside Real Estate Team. If you're interested in learning more from these or future guests, join us after the break for some final thoughts and something fun to do this weekend.